It's brand new, Season 2. I'm Marissa Thalberg.
And I'm Stephen Wolf-Bedeta, and we're excited to be back having bigger, bolder, and always real conversations.
Straight from the C-suite front lines of marketing, media, and more.
We have great friends joining from people you may know, like Wilmer Valderrama and Bobby Burke.
And people you'll want to know. So grab a coffee or, hey, even an Aperol Spritz and come join us on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart.
Listen to Brand New on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's good? It's Colleen Witt, and Eating While Broke is back for Season 3. Brought to you by the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. We're serving up some real stories and life lessons from people like Van Lathan, DC Young Fly, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and many more. They're sharing the dishes that got them through their struggles and the wisdom they gained along the way. We're cooking up something special, so tune in every Thursday. Listen to Eating While Broke on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Trap Nerds Podcast.
This is not an episode.
I'm pretty sure this is a promo.
You know what it is. We in this piece.
Trap nerds, real niggas like you never heard.
We giving you reliable gaming news with the best movie and TV reviews from a blurred perspective.
All things inside and out of blurred culture.
Listen to the Trap Nerds Podcast on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 420, Save Money with Salvage Stores.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends Podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends Podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are talking about salvage stores, what they are. You probably know what they are, but don't think you know what they are, but you do. And we're going to share the types of salvage stores, how to find them, how to identify them if you already know them, and then tips for shopping them.
Yeah, and some you're probably familiar with and others you may have never heard of. And that's what we hope for today, is to send you on a little scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
You
may drive by them every day and not know what they are and be scared to go in. And we are going to overcome that stigma today.
Yes. But first, this episode is brought to you by collecting. It's different from stockpiling and hoarding because it's intentional and cute. Collecting is carefully gathering items that are valuable and you have a fondness for, like money. It's our favorite thing to collect, and our favorite place to store it is in a high-yield savings account because you can still access that money, but you're making money on that money. Check out CIT for their current 4.65% APY, frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT. Start collecting.
I love collecting money. It is so nice.
I used to like collecting Beanie Babies, and now I like collecting money.
Yeah, and all collections accumulate, right? Like some accumulate dust, but money accumulates more money.
Like, it can. It won't unless you have it in a high yield savings account.
Or an investment account.
Or you, yes. Yes. It's not the only way. It's just a good way.
It's just a way that helps the show. frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT. So, all right. We are talking about salvage stores today. If you are looking for the deals, as always, if you don't need it, it's not a good deal. But if you are hunting for deals on things you need, check out episode 379, how to get affordable quality versus cheap quantity. And then episode 341, why you shouldn't sleep on estate sales. We love those two episodes.
It's a nice little curation. They're not exactly the same, but they're adjacent. They are deal adjacent.
Deal adjacent. And salvage stores are deal adjacent as well. Some people are obsessed with them. Some people hate them. And we are going to fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, okay. So here's what they are. They offer scratch and dent items for products that are nearing or have passed their best buy dates for a major discount. Now, those best buy dates, that has to do with food because, yes, there are salvage stores for food, but there's salvage stores for pretty much all other types of things you may want to purchase: furniture, appliances. We'll go through all of that. But essentially, they are these discount stores for maybe items that are slightly damaged, open box. People, they're just not flying off the shelves like the distributor thought that they would. And so you can get it at a steep discount.
Yeah. Or there's been a rebrand and they want to get rid of all the old brand and, put the new brand. So salvage stores sometimes get a reputation for just housing a bunch of cheap crap. And that's not wrong. Sometimes they do earn that reputation, but it's not strictly cheap stuff. There are some cases where you can find some quality stuff. So we're going to dive deep into 3 different types of salvage stores. And we're going to mention some articles, but there was just not an article that aligned with the vision I had for this episode. So we're kind of going rogue on this one and just relaying information from several different articles.
We've gone rogue before, and it kind of put the wind beneath our sails to realize it's our podcast. We can do what we want.
Wind beneath our sails? Wind in our sails or wind beneath our wings? And that's what happens when we go rogue, guys. This is why we use an outline with an article that was written by somebody with an editor. And so I don't apologize, though. I'm not going to apologize. So there are 3 different types of salvage stores that we're going to cover. The first is grocery. Next is architectural, and then overstock. So grocery salvage stores, obviously, that's food. And so like Jill said, they have a lot of things that are nearing or have just passed their best buy dates. In one of the articles I read from The Kitchen with no E, they researched and found that really the only food that cannot be sold after the date on the package is baby formula. So all other foods are fair game. All the best buy, use by, and sell by dates are freshness suggestions from the manufacturers. So it says they're not a ticking time bomb for when it's unsafe to consume. And all salvage grocery stores are required to take the same food storage precautions as conventional grocery stores. And health inspectors visit regularly, just like they do at conventional ones. So they are required to examine perishables.
And there are some helpful guides online for what you can imagine for different canned goods that might be past their best buy, sell by, use by dates. Those are, like you said, the manufacturing dates that are put on that. It has nothing to do necessarily with food safety guidelines. It's more food freshness. And so there are some helpful guides to say, if it's acidic, you can go this amount of time past the sell by date. If it's meat, here's your kind of safe window past that date. So of course, you're going to need to do what's comfortable for you, but just know that those are not expiration dates. It does not mean that the food is now rancid. And just kind of check where the window of safety might be. And so a lot of these things, cereals, canned goods, other kind of shelf staples, but sometimes produce too can find themselves at these food salvage stores, and they wind up there because maybe an item has been discontinued, or it's not flying off the shelf, or there's been a rebrand you've described, Jen, or they are nearing or at their sell by date. Again, they can still be sold past that. Like, they are allowed legally to still sell you those items, even though the date on it says sell by, because again, it's freshness, not a danger to you.
And the fresh stuff is gonna really what's in season locally to you. That's really gonna determine the fresh stuff that you get in there. So the second one, architectural, they resell hardware, windows, doors, other home details. So they're going to be more building materials versus your antique shops and thrift shops. And so this is where, when we get to salvage stores, you can find really great quality if you know what to look for. And we'll go into that later. But architectural salvages are when you see the designers on HGTV going in to find all of these really unique pieces for those houses, they're going to architectural salvages. And sometimes they'll be going to antique shops, but I've watched a lot of them over the past 2 years because they give me hope for the renovation. And I was like, that they're going to architectural salvages. So if you want to be a little more HGTV, or you have time, like maybe you're not renovating a whole house, maybe you just want to replace one or two things, they can be a great way to get higher quality building materials at a lower price.
I'm going to add an addendum to the architectural category and say that there's also salvage stores for furniture and appliances. I'm going to talk about examples for that too. But also the actual third category we wanted to highlight was overstock. So some of these are exchangeable words for salvage stores. Like if salvage doesn't sound familiar to you, overstock or open box, like there's a lot of these words that can kind of encompass the same thing. So overstock stores are a particular type of salvage where stores like Target, Walmart, even Amazon will send their excess, their overstock, their discontinued or their returned items that you can then get at a discount.
Yes. So let's go into examples that you may recognize and some examples that you may not, so you can find these stores in your area, because they are usually small, independently owned, and local. And we love that. We love supporting local businesses, and this is one way you can do it and save money. It's not all shopping the kitschy knickknacks at farmers markets to support small businesses. It's these things. So groceries, yes, you will have your national chains, you'll have your Save-A-Lot, your Price Right, your grocery outlet. But a lot of the times, if you Google just salvage grocery store, you'll find some local ones. There's a website called buysalvagefood.com, BUY, salvagefood.com, where you can find all of the salvage food grocers in the country. And a lot of them are going to be named like X discount grocery, like St. Pete discount grocery, Lakeland discount grocery, or maybe they're all independently owned, right? So even like grocery outlets, it's a national chain, but each grocery outlet is individually owned. So I'm not sure if that's with Price Right and Save-A-Lot, but I know grocery outlets are locally owned.
Yeah. I learned by going to that Buy Salvage Food about ones in our area. I'm thinking, I don't know. I feel like I know all the different spots around. They might be a little bit more of a drive for you, and that's where you'd have to weigh out, is it worth it? Or are you happening to be in that area and you can kind of tack it onto your trip? Because sometimes the discounts you get there can be really amazing. So this also would apply to like the Misfits Market. I'm sure a lot of us have gotten ads for on Instagram, Imperfect Foods. I'm realizing this is a little bit like what I'm currently doing. It's local to St. Pete. It's called 80 Deuce Produce. So if you're in St. Pete, check them out. But they supply to restaurants, produce to restaurants, but all of their leftovers they give to residences for a discount price. So every 2 weeks I get a different box with just an assortment. I never know what's going to be in it. It's always a huge variety and very exciting, but I get it at a discount because it's their leftovers from what the restaurants didn't take.
Yes. So that's another way. Support local businesses, save money, and literally getting fresh produce delivered to your house. I love that. Next is architectural, and so these are very hyper local, because a lot of the stuff in these salvages are large doors, windows, like machinery, stuff like that. So, and sometimes it's old. Sometimes it's from older houses or houses that are renovate. Like you've got Habitat for Humanity Restore. But then you have also these places that take overstock from, so it's kind of like a hybrid of architectural and overstock, because they're taking overstock from like Home Depot and Lowe's, right? So I know there's one in our area that we've both bought so many things from. Jill has an interesting story on her last encounter with theirs.
Oh, yes.
Maybe we'll talk about later.
Oh, well, that was like a tools and that kind of a thing. Yeah, that they primarily only get things from Home Depot. But and that's one of the side pieces. We'll get to tips in a little bit, but because they're family owned and operated, a lot of times you're not going to get necessarily the warranties from the manufacturer, that kind of thing.
You're not getting the corporate customer service.
Yeah. But this one, not just doors and windows and that kind of a thing, but all of the tools and literally anything Home Depot sells, they sell at a 50% discount. So that's very fun. And my addendum to that is the furniture and appliance stores as well. So many furniture stores that you go to will have a separate section or room just right on property of their maybe returned items or not as popular or trendy items, just kind of in the back, more dimly lit. They don't really want you to know about it. Every furniture store I've ever been to, and you try and find where is this discounted spot, they don't want you to know. They want you to buy the couch that's right up front.
Yeah.
But if you ask, hey, do you have a discounted section, returned or showroom items that, you can sell at a discount? Many places will have that. There's also this one spot called American Freight. That'll be a lot of open box appliances. So scratch and dent, that's another thing you can search when you're looking for these items, is scratch and dent, open box. American Freight is all over the place. So if you have one near you, that's a great option. But again, these are the types of words you can be searching when you're looking for these items. All of our appliances in our kitchen are either from Facebook Marketplace or some of these scratch and dent spots.
I find a lot of the furniture is being liquidated to resellers who sell it on Facebook Marketplace. So instead of having these large storefronts for resale furniture, which is very expensive, it's smaller resellers who have, these smaller, like almost sketchy looking little warehouses. That's what our couch, we just bought a new couch. We upgraded from our $30 Goodwill couch to a $1,000 Costco liquidation couch.
Yeah.
So, and it is such an upgrade. It was like a $4,000 couch that it was from the showroom, just from the floor, from the Costco floor. And it needs a little repainting on the legs, but the couch is perfect.
Well, I think we had talked about this before too, but I think it's worth mentioning in this context. A lot of times, so your mattress deliveries, your mattresses without box springs from all of those different brands who deliver mattresses rolled up to you and offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. When they send them back, they actually send them typically to a third-party person who then, they don't tell you this, you have to kind of figure it out yourself. We're telling you this. They are allowed to clean them, sanitize them. They haven't been used more than a couple of weeks, sometimes less than that, and resell them. So some of the sellers that you see on Facebook Marketplace selling mattresses, you don't have to be skeeved out by. They are selling mattresses that were just tested. They've cleaned them. They've been certified resellers, and you can get the very mattresses that you were curious about. Now, you're not going to get your 30-day money-back guarantee when you buy them from a third-party retailer, and some of them will also sell furniture, like both our I guess just our table is from a reseller like that. There's different companies who will also provide money back guarantees on dining tables and chairs, and it's just not worth it to them to bring it back to their warehouse. So these third-party sellers will sell them on Facebook Marketplace. So then the final example is these overstock stores. So that's the ways that you can find them is by searching those keywords: overstock, salvage, liquidation. The bin spot is an example of that. There are also other bin stores for Amazon that you can find and kind of get dig through the bins and only pay a couple of dollars.
Called Hot Bins or something.
Yeah.
They have
with a Z, I think.
Yeah, they're all, again, locally owned and operated.
Yeah.
Because you can buy, you as a normal, nobody, no, but that's a harsh thing to say, as us, as
typical people.
That's what I meant to say. Can buy. Amazon will sell you bulk liquidation things. I saw a lot, it has a special Amazon bulk liquidation website that they're selling bulk children's clothing. It was $500 for the lot. And I thought that would be a really cool place if you're trying to do a clothing drive for foster homes or
they just get 2,000 yellow t-shirts, size medium.
I guess so I didn't look into what was in the bulk orders, but I just saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, what a great way.
There's ways to,
instead of giving them the clothing that nobody wants to wear, then actually, I don't know. That's just my first thought. But I could go on there, and I don't need a special license or connection to buy bulk stuff. And that's where you get hot bins with a Z. Somebody like me had that idea and just bought a storefront and opened hot bins.
But then when you go to a place like that, you can buy the smaller quantities. They are the company who's paying the $500 for the lot, and then you can go in and get what
I buy
want.
The 500 yellow t-shirts, so you can buy one for a penny.
Yeah. I will also mention that Goodwill often resells Target items.
And Walmart.
And Walmart items. Yeah. Ollie's is a salvage store as well. So go out there, Google these things. Again, only get the things that you actually need because it's not a deal if you don't need it.
Yeah. I had the best luck searching, Googling overstock stores near me because when I search for salvage, I get the architectural salvage. When I search liquidation, I get actually the wholesale sites where these resellers are buying their wholesale liquidations. But when I searched overstock stores, I started getting the hot bins and the Ollies. So that might help you if you've got these other salvage stores near you. Now that I have kids, I'm hyper aware of the information I put online. But unfortunately, there's only so much I can do. Our personal information is everywhere on the internet, and I don't have time to monitor and take it off every website. That's why I personally use Delete Me.
Delete Me is a service that finds and removes any personal information from hundreds of data broker websites and makes sure it stays off. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. It's always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet.
I signed up, completed a questionnaire, and they took it from there, submitting opt-out requests to data broker sites and keeping my personal info private.
To take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now, at a special discount for our listeners, today get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/frugal and use promo code FRUGAL at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/frugal and enter code FRUGAL at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/frugal, code FRUGAL.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Trap Nerds Podcast.
This is not an episode, it's a promo.
You know what it is. Promo time. We in this piece.
Trap nerds. Real niggas like you never heard.
Join the Trap Nerds podcast every Monday and listen to us discuss all things inside and out of blurred culture.
So what if Quentin Tarantino squashes his beef with Marvel and be like,
oh God, just see how many foot shots a road we'll see I'll be down with. Make you know gonna be extra racist. With the best movie and TV reviews from a blurred perspective.
I think if Bo DeMayo hadn't got fired, Kevin Feige would be in trouble right now.
Preach.
We giving you reliable gaming news and real genuine game reviews.
I'll stand for Lightning.
Why does she have 3 games?
Because she a bad
I hate you so much right now.
Listen to the Trap Nerds Podcast on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's good? It's Colleen Witt, and Eating While Broke is back for Season 3. Brought to you by the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. We're serving up some real stories and life lessons from people like Van Lathan.
TMZ was starting a tour. Harvey came and took the tour. By July, I'm on TV every day. I endear myself to the audience. He comes in, he goes, "We're going to give you a raise." I think maybe a year, 2 years after that, I was a producer.
DC Young Fly.
It wasn't really no way for us to make income off of Vine like that. It was more so notoriety. Once that popped off, it was like people was following it. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't know people was doing this on their spare time. I was, don't do that, kids. That's bad. It was crazy that it had to be that real and that harsh.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Our mission was, we was telling everybody in the hood, we finna go meet Eazy-E. We about to come back and do a video. Of course, we didn't know, so we was lying like a mother.
Little do we know, we speak in reality, and we gonna come back with a bus and camera crew.
And many more. They're sharing the dishes that got them through their struggles and the wisdom they gained along the way. We're cooking up something special, so tune in every Thursday. Listen to Eating While Broke on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
So next, we're going to talk tips for shopping salvage stores. And we're going to start with grocery. So my first tip is to pay attention to mailers and sign up for emails if you want to see what they have in stock. And this actually goes for like overstock ones too, because I'll get the ads for Ollie's. We don't have any salvage grocery stores near us, but we do have an Ollie's, and I'll get ads for them all the time. So you can go in and see. You don't have to go in every week to see what they have. You can get the mailer or the email to see what the big draws are, to see if you want to go in.
Mm-hmm. But most of the time, the real deals are going to be in the store, not in the ad. So it is worth doing a perusal. But I would say going in knowing typical pricing of groceries, like any store that's kind of promising a deal or you think is they have good prices. A lot of times that's only for certain things. There are going to be other items on the shelves that are not actually good deals. So be sure that you have that awareness that not everything is going to be an absolute steal or discount of an item. Know what things are worth.
Yeah, but just because you see some things are not a deal versus the grocery store does not mean there are no deals.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can stock up on the staples, again, as long as you're comfortable with kind of how long it's going to take you to use them, how far past a sell-by date are you comfortable using those items? Is it recommended to use those items? But that's the way that I will approach discount grocers like this, because they're not super close. Yeah, is just like a once a month type of thing, just to see what do they have on certain shelf staples. You can get a lot, but also you can get meats at many of these places. So whatever you can freeze, many of them do have a freezer section. So stock up on those items. That's how I've used them.
I just realized you took me to my first grocery salvage store in Pennsylvania.
Whoa. Yeah, that sounds right.
That's the first one what was it called?
Swan's Pantry.
Yep.
And that sounds right.
Yep.
And it was dimly lit. Not every light bulb was on in the place.
We had a ball.
And everything's like stacked up on pallets. Like they're not trying to wow you there.
No.
This one also sold bulk items as well. Like you could measure out your beans and rice and flour.
Which is so great for zero waste.
I know.
If you're trying to make less waste, these are also great places to do that.
Yeah.
What a flashback.
That is a flashback. Wow. And then I think that night we went to like the Dollar Theater, because that still existed then. We really did. We lived what we ended up speaking about.
The country place for dinner,
which is cash only, and $20 will feed 4 people.
4 people. It so did. Man. If you ever wonder why we started a podcast together, just remember like those trips that we came to visit you in Pennsylvania, and that is what we did. And that was before we started Frugal Friends.
Yeah.
That was before.
We were just out there living it.
Just living.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we also went to a boat show.
We did. In New York City.
Yeah.
In like Manhattan or something.
We were threading that radical middle needle from the very beginning.
Yeah, we were walking through yachts in this big convention center in New York City.
Yeah.
Wow. What a dream.
We
what
were
a life.
We were yacht impressed.
We were so young. All right. So next, stock up on these beloved staples, but know that in some stores, certain items, certain staples like bread, chips, tortillas, those are actually stocked by suppliers and won't ever have any deals. So this will go for anywhere where you buy food. A good 80% of it will be this salvage stuff, but they want to have a well-rounded, like full grocery store, right? So there's going to be some things that they can't consistently get salvage, and those have suppliers. That's going to be for any. That's even for the, like, my father-in-law's U-Pick farm. You know, they bring in outside produce from other local farms that they don't grow because they want to have, like, a more well-rounded offering, you know? So it's always the 80-20 rule on these things. So just, it's not going to be the same staples for every grocery store, but know that when you are seeing prices that are pretty comparable to regular grocery stores, it doesn't mean that salvage stores are a scam. It means that some of them do have suppliers for some things.
Right. Yes, exactly. And the more the merrier. If you've got a lot of these grocery outlets in your area, that just means they're going to be competing with each other. So that's a good thing for you, the customer.
They are locally owned and operated.
When it comes to these architectural salvage stores, some of our tips include bringing the specifications with you, detailed measurements. Make sure that you have what you're looking for on hand, maybe even your own tape measure or two, to make sure that the items that you're looking at are going to fit within your spaces, because a lot of times we do kind of have to modify our plans a little bit in order to get the deal. So making sure that you know what's the max amount of space that I have for this. I can't go beyond it, because they're not just going to have all options available to you. They're going to have these options. And if you want to make one of them work, it's going to be important that you really know exact measurements.
Yeah. And there are even like special salvage stores that, not even stores, salvage yards that do just one thing. So like when we got our house, there was a window AC unit in one of the windows that they had just taken the glass out of. There was no glass in it, and it's a bay window, and bay windows are not cheap. And there's 2 bay windows, so it's not like we could just replace one and, you know, we have the other one that has to match it. So we went, well, Travis went to a window salvage yard where all they had was windows.
Eric's been to a door one. Yeah. There's a dude who just has doors. That's it.
There are dudes that just
have dudes out there.
Yeah. That just have one thing and have a lot of it. So he went to a window salvage yard with his specific measurements for this Jalousie Bay window and got a window that had the right glass, and he just took that one pane of glass that we needed out of that window. It wasn't a bay window, and put it into our bay window.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, it can save you a lot of money from not having to replace 2 bay windows.
Yeah, but I think along with that, make sure that it is compatible. It's code compliant. Most states are going to have requirements for your doors, for your windows. Some windows now are not up to compliance. So be sure that what you're putting in isn't going to get you in trouble and cost you more money than you would have thought.
Some of the salvage stuff, it's great for decorative purposes, but may not be right for structural purposes anymore. So just make sure. And then some of them may have lead paint on them. I know these people do a really good job of trying to make sure everything they have is safe, but sometimes they just, it passes by them. They may not know. So yeah, do your due diligence on anything you bring in your home, and ask staff for what you need. So these places are by nature overwhelming, and that can be a big barrier to entry for people even trying to find what they need. But know that you can go, whether it's the architectural salvage store or it's a dude with doors. You can go to the people that work there and tell them what you need, and they can kind of guide you where to go. You're not on your own. You're not dumb for needing help. It is very normal. Don't get overwhelmed. If that can like break down that barrier to entry for you trying these things, then know that you can for sure ask for help.
Most of them are so thrilled, and they know the store like the back of their hands. So.
And again, they are small, locally owned businesses, and they are willing to help. They want and need your business. And so let's support them.
Yeah, and the same thing applies to your appliance and furniture stores as well. Ask about it. Tell them what you need. Bring your measurements along with you, and use social media as a guide to help you not only find these stores, but start to understand what these stores are offering. Oftentimes they'll post their recent find, their recent for sale item on Instagram or Facebook Marketplace. So you can even dip your toe in the water that way from the comfort of your own home before you go in.
Yeah.
And again, though, if you are getting specifically appliances or things that would typically come with a warranty, still feel free to ask about it. There are some that can still provide the manufacturer warranty or maybe even a third party type of warranty, and others who do not. So it's still worth an ask if it's something worthwhile to you. I know we've kind of valued getting warranties on fridge and washing machine because those things do typically need a lot of repair over the course of their lives. They are appliances that we don't want to be replacing every 5 years. So if there's a warranty that says it'll last for 15 and they're going to come and do the parts and that kind of thing, those are specifically on those two appliances are the warranties that we have splurged for. So just keep that in mind at these salvage stores. You can get the discount and then maybe pay slightly more, but still less than you would have full price to make sure that that thing's still going to last you.
And it's still safer than just buying it from a dude on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, exactly.
With no warranty. Okay, and finally, overstock stores. Go in with a list. This is the place where, I mean, you're gonna overspend the most in these places. If you've ever thought of yourself as a Maxinista, this is for you. Go in with a list.
A maximalist.
Yeah. Don't. It's not a deal if you don't need it.
And it's not a deal if it's just going to be a bunch of deals that end up becoming clutter and none of it was exactly what you wanted. At that point, it'd be better to buy something new at full price than a collection of things that are almost there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And there are definitely some things you should avoid at these stores. I don't think there's anything I would avoid at either of the other ones except like maybe lead paint at an architectural resale, but avoid furniture unless it's like a good quality furniture outlet. Even some of these furniture outlets I've gone to, they're just not great quality furniture. You have to be very picky, and you're often better going with a consignment or a thrift store for furniture. So just be really, really cautious about furniture. And then also avoid fast fashion. So we're not buying clothes at TJ Maxx and Ross because it's already in worse condition than it was when it was at Target or Walmart or wherever, and it was already a poor quality there.
I'm going to push back on that. I will get clothes from those items because sometimes they do sell the brands that are more long lasting. Like not all of it are these some of them are, but some of them, like you can find your, I don't know, athletic wear that is typically very expensive. I do think if you're a digger, you could find.
Yeah. But that's rare because sometimes, and it's the same with outlet stores like Gap Outlet. Gap Outlet isn't getting Gap's rejects. They're getting like half quality of the regular store because they're testing product lines at Gap Outlet. And if it sells well at the outlet, than they sell it at the retail store. TJ Maxx, Ross, those stores get a lot of those. So you can just feel the quality, even if it's name brand. And this happens a lot with shoes. You'll see name brand, good quality brands in the shoes. They're not the actual good quality of the brand. They are testers to see what sells well so that the brand can make it at good quality. So use your discernment. And if it feels of poor quality, then it is, regardless of the name on the tag.
Wow. Do you know what is good quality, though? At a low price.
Always. And we never half it with this one.
The bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Jill. This is Renee from the beautiful Finger Lakes area of upstate New York, calling you with my bill of the week. I recently had surgery on my back and got the bill, and it cost $112,000. Yes, you heard right, $112,000 for my surgery. So I re-listened to the episode by Dr. Ellington on negotiating your medical bills, and I applied for financial aid to the hospital where I had my surgery. And lo and behold, I only had to pay slightly over $2,000 for my surgery. Frugal win. Thank you so much to both of you and to Dr. Ellington for all your wisdom. And that's my bill of the week. Take care. Love y'all. Bye.
Oh my gosh, Renee, we have gotten that is one of our best episodes today. It's Negotiating Medical Bills with Dr. Virgie Ellington.
Episode 230.
And it has saved so many people so much money. Medical bills are one of those vital few.
Yeah.
Where else can you save $110,000 on something?
This is so interesting, Renee. I'm so glad that you remembered that episode and went back to it. It was just one of our hopes with that one, like required listening. It is on my list of something I will reference back to. I literally just recommended this episode to a friend yesterday. And this is, I'm so sorry, Jen. Never before have I told someone, you have to listen to this episode. I'm sending it to you. Like, I don't plug us like that. I want my friends to be my friends and my listeners to be my friends because they want to be my listeners. But I don't want to force my friends to also be a listener. But she was talking about medical debt. And I was like, actually, I'm just calling it. It's required listening. I'm going to send it to you. I don't know any other resource that like breaks it down like this. And here you go. And you may or may not love the podcast. That's fine. But I do want to be a help to you. It's so funny that it comes up again for you.
Why do you dislike our podcast?
I don't. I just don't want people to feel pressured, like that they know that I have this thing and now you have to be a podcast listener. I just don't do it. But that's how strongly I feel about this particular episode that I actually sent it to her in a text message. Like, here you go. Here's my podcast. I'm shamelessly plugging because I do think it'll help. And Renee, it helped you
$110,000. We had a while ago, somebody had a medical bill that, it was just really difficult. And she emailed, because of our podcast, she emailed Dr. Virgie and Dr. Virgie helped her figure it out.
That's amazing.
Money. She's a gem. It's required listening for the podcast.
Thanks for sharing, Renee. This is super celebratory. If any of you all are listening and you've got a celebratory bill that was reduced by 6 figures, or your name is Bill, or you just want to call in because you're a listener and a friend, frugalfriendspodcast.com/Bill. Leave us your bill. And now it's time for the lightning round. Pew, 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 pew.
All right. Do you go to Salvage stores, and what's been your best buy so far? Yes, I do go to salvage stores. Not grocery salvage, but I do occasionally go to Ollie's sometimes. I don't really buy anything there, but will go in to look if I get the mailer and something is, piquing my interest. I'll go in and browse. Travis loves Ross. I mean, Ross is like the worst quality everything to me. I actually am not a Maxxinista. I am so the opposite of a Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls.
I have found my best deals at Ross, honest to goodness. As far as shoes go, sometimes you do get just, it's the one shoe in your size of a nice brand for me that have held up, like a Cole Haan sandal. And yes, I have had that for like 8 years now. Eric has found Sperry's. Like we've found them. And things that are typically really expensive, like pots, large pots for plants, like ceramic that are usually over $100. I've found there for $20. So you kind of have to know what it is that you're looking for there. And it is hit or miss, but I have gotten my best deals specifically at Ross.
Yeah.
Over like the adjacent ones, like over Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Home Goods.
Yeah.
Ross has been.
I trust Ross a little bit more because they're not trying to be an enjoyable experience.
Yes.
Like they are a true salvage store.
Yeah.
But I still I'm not a hunter either. Like I don't enjoy hunting for products or clothes.
Yeah.
That's why I shop secondhand online. I physically don't like it. But so Travis will go into Ross. He loves Ross. And I've actually been holding on. I sometimes will, if I get something specifically from my mother-in-law for Christmas, I know it's going to be from TJ Maxx or Marshalls. And so I will try pretty much everything I don't want. I will try to return to TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Just to see. Because they're the same thing. And
yeah.
Some of the things they will take and some of them they won't, and then they'll give me a gift card for what they do take. And I've been holding on to several of these gift cards for years because I just don't go. But I have like returns because I don't want the products. So
you're just saying all the ways you don't use salvage stores.
But I do love the architectural salvages. I love those. There's a great one in Dunedin. There's a great one in Sarasota. Well, so again, I'm more of a browser. I just think there's like some fantastic stuff. But we got the windows. Travis does most of the shopping. Anything he needs, he first tries to get it on, like he'll look up on Facebook Marketplace. A lot of these places will advertise like their best stuff. And then you'll look, at, this window and see that it comes from a salvage. And then you can go and find what you really need.
Yeah.
I think my couch is the best recent thing that I've gotten.
Yeah.
Because I still consider that salvage because it was from Costco. So.
Yeah, I couldn't even count over the years. I mean, most of the stuff in my home is some version of a salvage store. Appliances, like I'd say that's the best deal is probably our refrigerator. I think it's like a $6,000 fridge that we got for $1,800 because it's got a few dents on the front. Like it still works. Then I just cover it up with a magnet.
Don't we all? Right?
Yeah, furniture. My couch is from, it used to be a floor model and it was thrown in the back of the store, but.
Our bed, our mattress is one of those returns.
Yeah.
A mattress return.
Yeah, I love them. I specifically Restore too. If you are in a renovation, that's a really good spot to go to. They will sell a lot of materials. I think we've gotten flooring at a salvage store at one of the renovations
Tile
we've done.
is nice.
Sometimes
you can find vintage tile.
Yeah.
At these places.
Yep.
Because people will just have boxes of tiles, that they've had for decades in their garage, and then they will give them away. and to the thrift store, and I think the thrift store probably sends it to Restore.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just bring it to Restore if
But I
they
think
know about it.
Yeah, that's where you can get creative. Like you may not have the exact amount that you need, and then that's where you can identify, oh, what else could we fill this in with? And it then makes your project really unique to be able to get creative around how do we make this product work. Now, sometimes it's just a round peg in a square hole, but
Yeah, you can't force it.
sometimes it really works
But
out and it's
sometimes
very
it can
fun.
inspire creativity.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
Yeah.
So, and I hope we've inspired some creativity in you to get creative in how you purchase groceries, home building supplies, your knickknackies, your kitchen knickknacks, and that you will try some of these salvage stores that maybe you haven't before. So thank you so much for listening. If this episode helped you, we'd love if you could leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. Like this one from NBH2124. Love this pod. Grounded and practical yet inspiring. Thanks, Frugal friends.
Wow, NBH 2124. And see, that's an example. Short and sweet.
Love it.
You did not have to take much time, but you have encouraged us and you've helped others find a podcast that might be some of these things that they may be looking for. So thanks for listening. Thanks for leaving us reviews. If you haven't, please do so. It can only take a minute. It only has to take a minute.
Bye.
Bye.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Siriani.
Is there anything on your list that you would like to find at a salvage store?
We do need backsplash tile, but that has to be textured white tile. Can be subway or square. I think I know what I want, but I did once find this beautiful pink tile at Restore. And I was like, oh, how can I use this?
Yeah.
And there was no place to use it because it's pink.
Yeah.
But I loved it and I wanted it so bad.
Oh, my story. I had gotten a steam cleaner at this salvage store, I guess. Yeah, it's a discount for Home Depot items. So again, anything Home Depot sells, they sell at 50% off, but they now own all of the products. They are no longer associated with Home Depot. So none of Home Depot's warranties.
Locally family owned.
Yeah. I don't know why you have to keep repeating that.
This is an important distinction to make. Okay.
So I'd been there before. I had bought items. I'd been pleased. And I had been wanting a steam cleaner because I've been imagining that that's going to be the answer to all my cleaning problems, like my floor, my high gloss tile floor. So I get the steam cleaner, and not only does it not clean the way that I had hoped that and I was promised that it would, but it also was shooting out this like black smoke hours into cleaning. And yes, the water was still full on it because I did check all of the things like, why is gray smoke coming out of here? And it was coming off onto the cleaning pad that was attached to it. So I'm thinking, all right, for multiple reasons, I'm taking this thing back. They have a very strict return policy because, as they told me when they tried to guilt trip me into not returning it, we are a family-owned business, ma'am. This hurts us. I'm not laughing. I mean, I am laughing. It's not funny that they're a family-owned business.
Not all customer service is the same across all these salvage stores. Some is better than others.
Yeah. And I do want to continue shopping them because they're family owned and I want to support that. But also they do say that if the product doesn't work, they will give you a refund. So I did push for that and they did end up, but I did have to talk to like 3 different people and they kept talking about how they're family owned. And I just kind of felt like my $80 return on a steam cleaner that was smoking was allowed, given their policy.
Absolutely. So when you do go read the return policies and abide by them, if they only accept things that don't work, then you better tell them it don't work. And they will, and they fired it up to see.
They did. They tested it.
This ain't Home Depot. They're gonna, you can't lie.
But and so know that if they're not a big box, that's one of the benefits of a big box store is that their return policy is very loosey-goosey. And at a mom and pop store, it's not going to be so also make sure that you know what you're buying. You've read the reviews, you're pleased with it. To balance that out with a good story, there was a time where I was looking on the hunt for an immersion blender. It wasn't something that I wanted to spend $100 on. It's just something that I was keeping my eye out for. That was on my list of things I'm looking for at a discount. And sure enough, they had an immersion blender that was typically $80 for like $35. And I've been very pleased with that immersion blender. I have made my fair share of pestos and Caesar salad dressing.
Yeah. We bought a ton of things from that place as well. And we almost bought our vanity. If you're doing a kitchen or specifically a bathroom renovation, I would say if you're doing a bathroom renovation, that type of resale is so great because they will take the vanity top will break, and so Home Depot or Lowe's will send it over there, and they will put on a brand new quartz countertop, probably of better quality than the one that they sold at Home Depot, and then sell it at a lower price.
Yeah.
So,
you just have to find. And they're not everywhere.
Right.
They're not. It's not as if every town is going to have these options, but it is worth looking and educating yourself because I didn't learn about some of these places until years into living here. Certainly, I was always discovering more about what's available in Pennsylvania, and sometimes these stores pop up. They weren't there before, and now they are. So
there you go. There's your spicy salvage store story.
It's brand new, season 2. I'm Marissa Thalberg.
And I'm Stephen Wolf-Bedeta. And we're excited to be back having bigger, bolder, and always real conversations.
Straight from the C-suite front lines of marketing, media, and more.
We have great friends joining from people you may know, like Wilmer Valderrama and Bobby Burke.
And people you'll want to know. So grab a coffee or, hey, even an Aperol Spritz and come join us on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart.
Listen to brand new on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's good? It's Colleen Witt, and Eating While Broke is back for season 3. Brought to you by the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. We're serving up some real stories and life lessons from people like Van Lathan, DC Young Fly, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and many more. They're sharing the dishes that got them through their struggles and the wisdom they gained along the way. We're cooking up something special, so tune in every Thursday. Listen to Eating While Broke on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Trap Nerds Podcast.
This is not an episode.
I'm pretty sure this is a promo.
You know what it is. We in this piece.
Trap nerds, real niggas like you never heard. We giving you reliable gaming news
with the best movie and TV reviews from a blurred perspective.
All things inside and out of blurred culture.
Listen to the Trap Nerds Podcast on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.